You know that moment when your alarm rings and your first thought isn't, yes, it's a new day. It's just 5 more minutes. We've all been there. That quiet war between your dreams and your comfort zone, fought every morning between your bed and your willpower. But let me tell you something powerful every morning is not just the start of a new day, it's the start of a new chance. A chance to build, to grow, to change the direction of your life. And the truth is, the people who win in life aren't the ones who have easier mornings. They're the ones who choose to jump out of bed, not because it's easy, because their purpose is louder than their excuses. So today I want to talk to you about one simple idea, an idea that can transform your entire life if you truly live by a jump out of bed and get to work. Because every sunrise brings 2 options: to keep dreaming or to wake up and chase those dreams until they're real. Pause, look directly at the audience. If you're ready to stop waiting for motivation, if you're ready to stop snoozing on your potential, then stay with me. Because by the end of this speech, you'll never look at your mornings or your goals the same way again. You wake up and before you even open your eyes, your mind starts racing. You think about the messages waiting on your phone, the tasks you didn't finish yesterday, the meetings ahead, the stress that's already whispering your name. And in that tiny moment, the few seconds between sleep and wakefulness, your brain asks one question: why get up? That's the most important question of your day. Because if you don't have a clear, powerful answer to that question, you'll hit snooze, not just on your alarm, but on your life. Most people roll out of bed reacting, not creating. They wake up because they have to, not because they want to. They drag themselves into their day with no sense of direction, no emotional fire behind their actions. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, uninspired, disconnected. But here's the truth. When you start your day with purpose, you stop living life on autopilot. You start driving it. Purpose doesn't just wake you up. It pulls you forward. It's that invisible energy that fuels everything you do. It's the reason some people can work long hours, face setbacks, deal with stress, and still feel alive. Because they're not just chasing tasks, they're chasing meaning. They know why they're doing it. And that why gives them power. So let's talk about that for a second. What's your why? What's that thing that makes you feel alive? That thing you want so badly it keeps showing up in your thoughts when you're quiet? Maybe it's building a better future for your family. Maybe it's proving to yourself that you can do something everyone said you couldn't. Maybe it's creating something that outlives you. Whatever it is, that's the engine behind your energy. You connect to that every morning, really connect. Your day transforms from something you have to do into something you get to do. You see, purpose changes the way you experience everything. Without it, your alarm clock is an enemy. With it, alarm clock becomes an invitation. The same 60,000 AM sound that once annoyed you becomes a call to action. A reminder that today, you get another chance to move closer to the life you want. But here's the catch: you have to define it for yourself. No one can hand you purpose. You can't borrow it from someone else. You can't wait for the world to tell you what you're here for. You have to decide. You have to sit with yourself and ask, what would make today meaningful for me? Not someday, next month, today. And when you answer that question, everything changes. Because once you decide what matters, you stop wasting time on what doesn't. You stop giving your energy to things that drain you. You start giving it to things that drive you. You begin to live intentionally, and that's where real fulfillment begins. So tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, don't grab your phone. Don't scroll. Don't react. Instead, take 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds to remind yourself why you're here. Say it out loud if you have to. I'm getting up because, and fill in that blank. That small act repeated day after day will start to rewire your brain. You'll begin to associate waking up with purpose, not pressure. Some people wait for motivation to strike. They wait for inspiration, for the perfect circumstances, for the energy to magically appear. But the truth is, purpose creates motivation. It gives you the fuel before the fire. Once you know why you're doing something, you'll figure out how. Every single time. Think about it. The people who achieve incredible things, they don't always have more talent or more opportunities. They just have a deeper reason. Their purpose is louder than their excuses. And when that alarm rings, they don't think twice. They jump out of bed because they've already decided what the day means to them. When you live that way, everything about your morning changes. Your energy changes. Your focus changes. You stop drifting through life and you start designing it. You start moving through day with clarity and power instead of confusion and hesitation. And look, you're not going to feel unstoppable every morning. Some days you'll wake up tired. Some days you'll doubt yourself. That's normal. But purpose doesn't disappear when things get hard. It's what gets you through. You're connected to your why. Discipline replaces motivation. You do what needs to be done because you know what it's for. So before you get to work, before you dive into the chaos of the day, stop and connect. Ask yourself, what's the point of today? And don't make it complicated. It doesn't have to be life changing every time. Maybe the point is to make progress on a goal. Maybe it's to make someone smile. Maybe it's simply to show up as a better version of yourself than yesterday. Whatever it is, let that intention drive you. Because when you start your day with purpose, you don't just wake up, you rise. And when you rise with meaning, rest of the day has no choice but to follow your lead. So tomorrow morning, when that alarm rings, don't hesitate. Don't wait for another chance. Don't think twice. Jump out of bed and get to work. When you open your eyes in the morning, you're standing at the doorway between two worlds, the one you dream about and the one you're building. And how you spend that first hour determines which world you move closer to. Most people don't realize how powerful that window is. They rush through it. They roll over, grab their phone, scroll through a feed of other people's lives, and then wonder why they feel distracted, drained, or behind before the day even starts. The truth is your morning is your foundation. It's your launch pad. The energy, focus, and clarity you bring to your day all come from what you do or don't do when you first wake up. You can't control everything that happens during the day, but you can control how you start it. When you own your morning, you start owning your life. Now, this isn't about having some perfect Instagram-worthy routine. It's not about waking up at 40 a.m., drinking kale smoothies while journaling to ocean sounds, unless that's your thing. It's about creating a rhythm that builds you, a routine that serves your mind, your body, and your mission. When you first wake up, your brain is in a highly programmable state. It's quiet, open, and impressionable. That means whatever you feed it first, your thoughts, your emotions, your focus, becomes the tone for the entire day. If the first thing you feed it is stress, comparison, or negativity, that's what it will look for all day long. But if the first thing you feed it is intention, energy, and gratitude, you set your brain on a completely different frequency. So imagine starting your morning like this. You wake up. Instead of reaching for your phone, you take a deep breath. You stretch. You remind yourself, this day is mine. You drink some water to wake your body up, move a little. Maybe it's a quick walk. Maybe it's a workout. Maybe it's just a few push-ups to get your blood flowing. You're signaling to your brain and body, we're alive, we're awake, and we're in charge. Then you take a few minutes to reflect. Maybe you write down what you're grateful for. Your focus is, or what one thing will make today meaningful. You're setting the tone. You're creating the emotional weather for the day before the world does it for you. That's how momentum is built. Through small, intentional acts that compound over time. Because let's be real, discipline isn't born out of grand gestures. It's built out of consistency. It's not about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do every single morning when no one's watching. But here's where people get it wrong. They think building a morning routine means adding 100 tasks. No, it's not about more. It's about better. It's about clarity. It's about stripping away the noise and focusing on the few things that elevate you mentally, emotionally, and physically. The most important things you can do in those first minutes is protect your attention. Your attention is your most valuable currency, and the world is constantly trying to spend it for you. The second you check your phone, you're letting other people's priorities hijack your focus. Their opinions, their problems, their energy, it all starts flooding in. And before you've even brushed your teeth, your brain is reacting instead of creating. Guard that first hour like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. The quality of your morning determines the quality of your mindset, and your mindset determines everything else. If you win the morning, you win the day. I get it. Sometimes life is chaotic. Maybe you've got kids, responsibilities, deadlines, noise. But even then, even in the busiest seasons, there's something you can do for you. Maybe it's 10 minutes of silence before the house wakes up. Maybe it's stepping outside, feeling the air, grounding yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be intentional. When you take ownership of your morning, something powerful happens. You stop reacting to life and start designing it. You stop waiting for the day to bring you peace, and you create peace. You stop letting the world tell you how to feel, and you start setting the emotional tone yourself. That's real freedom, because every day is like a blank page. The morning is the pen. The question is, are you writing your story, or are you letting someone else write it for you? So build a morning that builds you, one that nourishes your mind before it gets polluted by noise, one that wakes your body before it's dragged into exhaustion, that reminds your heart why you're doing all this in the first place. And don't underestimate the small wins. Making your bed might seem trivial, but it's a signal to your brain, I complete things. Drinking water first thing might not seem like much, but it tells your body, I care about you. Taking 60 seconds to breathe and visualize might not seem life-changing, but it tells your mind, I choose my focus. These moments stack. They build confidence, they build energy, and they create unstoppable momentum. So tomorrow morning when that alarm rings, don't just wake up. Rise with intention. Don't rush into your day. Create it. Don't let the world set your tone. Set it yourself. Because when you start your morning by building yourself, you don't just prepare for the day. You prepare for life. And that's where the real transformation begins. There's a moment right after you wake up when your mind starts negotiating. You know that voice. The one that whispers, just a few more minutes. I'll start later. I'll get to it when I feel ready. That voice has stolen more dreams than failure ever has. Because while you're waiting to feel like it, someone else out there is already moving. They're not smarter than you. They're not luckier. They just took action before their brain had the chance to talk them out of it. All been conditioned to believe that we need to feel motivated before we take action. That somehow the right emotion has to hit us like lightning before we can move. But that's not how it works. The truth is, Motivation doesn't come first. Action does. You move first and the energy follows. Momentum isn't born out of inspiration. It's born out of movement. You don't wait to be ready. You get ready by starting. Think about it. Have you ever forced yourself to go for a run when you didn't want to, and then 10 minutes in, you felt amazing? Or maybe you didn't want to start that project, but once you took the first step, you suddenly found your flow. That's how the human brain works. It's wired for inertia. Once you start moving, it's easier to keep going. But if you stay still, you'll stay stuck. So here's the mindset shift. Stop waiting to feel like it. Stop waiting for the perfect morning, perfect mood, the perfect time. Those things don't exist. There's never a perfect time to go after your goals. There's only now. Every second you hesitate, you strengthen the habit of hesitation. Every time you take immediate action, no matter how small, you build the muscle momentum when that alarm goes off, when your mind starts arguing that's your cue to move. Don't think, don't analyze, just act. Throw the covers off, plant your feet on the floor, and do one small thing that moves you forward. It could be stretching, making your bed, drinking a glass of water, something that sends a signal to your mind, we're doing this. Because once your body moves, your brain follows. See? The people who achieve extraordinary things aren't the ones who have perfect mornings. They're the ones who've trained themselves to take action regardless of how they feel. They've learned that emotions are temporary, but decisions create direction. If you let your feelings dictate your actions, you'll spend your life waiting for the right mood. But if you let your decisions lead, feelings will eventually rise to match your actions. And I get it, some mornings are tough. You wake up tired, discouraged, overwhelmed. But those are the mornings that matter most. Because the days you don't want to move are the days that define your discipline. Anybody can act when they're excited. The real growth comes when you act without the spark. When you create your own fire. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. Dreamers wait for inspiration. Doers create it through motion. They know that action is the antidote to anxiety. You can't think your way into confidence. You act your way into it. You can't wait for energy. You generate it through movement. Every single time you push yourself to move, you build power. So instead of saying, I'll do it later, tell yourself, I'll do it now. Instead of asking, do I feel ready? Ask, can I do right now that moves me forward? That shift, that small, simple shift can completely change the trajectory of your life. The truth is, you don't need motivation to start. You need courage. You need to take that one uncomfortable step, even when your mind resists. Because the moment you act, everything changes, your physiology changes, your focus sharpens, your confidence rises, and suddenly you're no longer thinking about what could go wrong. You're moving toward what could go right. And here's the beautiful part, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Action becomes habit. Momentum becomes your default state. You stop living in hesitation and start living in creation. And once you reach that point, life starts to bend in your favor because energy follows direction, not desire. When you take action, you send a signal to yourself that says, I'm in control. You reclaim your power. You remind your brain that you decide what happens next. That's what builds confidence. Not waiting, not wishing, but doing. And that's how you start to trust yourself again. So the next time you wake up and that voice whispers, not today. Remember this, that's not the voice of reason, that's the voice of resistance. It's the same voice that shows up right before every breakthrough. Don't fight it. Don't argue with it. Just move. Take one action. Because once you move, that voice loses its grip. Every great accomplishment starts the same way, with someone deciding to act instead of waiting to feel ready. It's that simple. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need to feel confident. You just need to start. Because once you start, everything else begins to align. So when tomorrow comes and your alarm rings and that little voice tries to hold you back, remember what you're capable of. Don't give in. Don't hesitate. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it. Jump out of bed and get to work. You know that feeling you get at the start of the day, that rush of energy, that spark that says, today I'm going to make things happen. But then the hours pass, the calls pile up, the emails flood in, and by mid-afternoon, that fire starts to dim. You feel the weight of distractions, the fatigue creeping in, and suddenly that drive you woke up with turns into survival mode. We've all been there. That's why mastering your energy throughout the day, not just in the morning, is what separates consistent achievers from people who burn out before they even hit their stride. The truth is, getting started is powerful. Staying consistent is what changes your life. Anyone can have a burst of energy in the morning. Anyone can get inspired after a great speech, a song, or a strong cup of coffee. But that spark means nothing if you can't sustain it. Success isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. It's about keeping the fire alive long after the excitement fades. And here's the secret most people miss: energy isn't something you have or don't have. It's something you create. You don't wait for it. You generate it. You control your energy through movement, through focus, through the meaning you attach to what you're doing. The reason most people lose momentum halfway through the day isn't because they're lazy. It's because they've disconnected from their purpose. They've forgotten why they started. So when that afternoon crash hits, you feel like you're running on empty. That's your signal, not to stop, but to reconnect. Pause for a second. Breathe. Ask yourself, why did I start this? What am I working toward? Am I doing this for? That simple reconnection realigns your energy with your mission. It reignites the emotional fuel that got you moving in the first place. Every goal you have, whether it's building a business, transforming your body, improving your relationships, takes more than a spark. It takes stamina. It takes emotional endurance. And emotional endurance comes from meaning. When you attach deep meaning to what you do, you stop needing to push yourself. The purpose starts pulling you. But meaning alone isn't enough. You've got to manage your state. The state of your mind and body determines the quality of your performance. Think about it as when your posture is low, your breathing is shallow, your focus is scattered, your energy collapses, but when you lift your body, move your shoulders back, breathe deeply, change your physiology, suddenly your brain wakes up again. You've shifted your state, and that shift can happen in seconds. Most people try to think they're way out of low energy. They tell themselves, come on, focus, get it together. But you can't think your way into a high energy state. You have to move your way into it. Motion creates emotion. When you move, chemistry changes. When you change your chemistry, your energy shifts. You become sharper, stronger, more alive. And then as the day goes on, use small wins to feed your momentum. Celebrate progress. Doesn't matter how small. Maybe you finished a task you've been putting off. Maybe you handled a difficult conversation. Maybe you just kept your word to yourself. Recognize those wins because acknowledgement creates reinforcement. You celebrate, you repeat. And the more you repeat those wins, the more unstoppable you become. But consistency also means learning to reset because no matter how driven you are, your energy will dip. That's human. The key is to notice it early and reset quickly. Step away for a moment, stretch, hydrate, get some sunlight, take a few deep breaths. Don't wait until you're completely drained. Energy management is like driving a car. You don't wait until the tank is empty to refuel. You refuel along the way so you can keep going strong. And here's something else. Stop chasing perfection. The need to do everything perfectly is one of the biggest killers of momentum. Progress is messy. Growth is uncomfortable. You'll stumble, you'll miss steps, you'll have off days. And that's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up, that you keep moving forward even when it's not pretty, because consistency builds confidence and confidence builds results. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you strengthen your self-belief. You start to trust yourself again. That's what creates unstoppable energy. Not external motivation, but internal alignment. When your actions, your goals, and your values all point in the same direction, you stop feeling forced. You start feeling free. So throughout your day, keep coming back to that question. What am I doing this for? Let that guide you when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when the distractions start to pull at you. Because if your why is strong enough, no obstacle can hold you. But the moment you remember what's at stake, your growth, your potential, your future, that's when you tap into a deeper source of energy. Every day will test your focus, your patience, your drive. Every test is an opportunity, a chance to prove that your commitment runs deeper than your comfort. You're not here to move when it's easy. You're here to move when it's hard. You're here to train yourself to be consistent, to stay connected, to keep your fire alive no matter what comes your way. Because when you can control your energy, you can control your direction. And when you can control your direction, there's nothing in the world that can stop you. So when the day wears you down, that spark starts to fade. Don't let it go out. Feed it, protect it, fuel it with purpose, movement, and gratitude. And no matter what, keep the fire burning. Jump out of bed and get to work.